not trust this list. Why should I not trust the list? Do we have sound yet? I hope so. Digi and or Kinky, you guys want to have a copy paste ready? Wait for them to paste it. That's interesting. Especially since I'm not one. Hello.
Okay. Popping the thing out, letting people join, and then we'll get started. All right, we'll wait for people to get in. Let me know when it's starting to level off. All right, I think we're leveling off.
Yep, looks about leveled off.
All right. Thank you for coming. This is the weekly Midjourney office hours. We do these every week, Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. And basically what we do is we talk about what we're working on, what we're thinking about, and then we take questions. So let's get started. The main things that are happening this week are we're going to try to open up rooms to more people and open up the website image creation to more people. I don't know how much of that is today versus tomorrow versus Friday, but we're going to try to open up a bit more every day. And then just to get more people in the rooms until we get to the 1K club, and then more people in the creation until we get to people who've made 100 images, and then same goes for rooms again. And then we'll start adding more things like private rooms and like creating private rooms and stuff like that. We'll probably open up a few more rooms. There'll probably be like a super users room, which is like 1,000 images or more. There'll be like a newbies room, which will be kind of everybody else. There'll be a prompt chat room and probably a daily theme room. So something like that. Like we'll have just a couple of rooms at first. See how that feels. Then we'll start doing the private rooms. Yeah, then we're gonna cut them out with something today or tomorrow for doing like giving sort of style codes for the random style generation, so that way you can duplicate them a little more easily. I think that'll work a little better too, due to some algorithmic things we didn't think about till recently. And then we are going to continue to work on shipping personalized models, which are kind of working, but they're sort of a little inconsistent right now, and that we're kind of trying to battle the inconsistency between different users to try to make it more sort of like reliably awesome for everybody. So there's sort of some technical issues sorting through that. There's some 6.1 things which are kind of chugging along, which with better image quality and better hands and coherence and text rendering. It's also running into little technical difficulties, but they're kind of slowly getting fixed. Part of the issue probably is that we're working on too many things, but when you work on lots of things, they each go slower, but they all go. So we're kind of working on all these different things. They're all moving. They're all going a little slower than I'd like to. And I mean, sometimes you can't put everybody on one thing because you just can't make a baby in 1 month with eight moms. But I think it's moving, and that's the important thing. So there should be a really good 6.1 release. The personalized models will be really good. I'm pretty happy with the web stuff as it's getting out to more people. I'm excited to see more people in the rooms. And those are the main things. We have a lot of people working on V7 and video models and 3D models, but those are all going a little slowly too, but they're all making progress. So I think we're kind of working on like video, 3D, V7, 6.1, personalization, and that's just like a lot of things. I think if we only wanted to work on one of those things, we would definitely go faster, but I don't really think there's a world where we focus on video and it goes better. I think the video needs the V7. We could just focus on V7 and drop 6.1, but then a lot of the 6.1 features are going to go into V7 too, so it's kind of the same code. You might as well release it for V6. Yeah, some of the things that we thought would be necessary for V7, like we have to do V7 for, like the improved image quality and the coherence, turns out to just be sort of like an unrelated thing to what the V7 stuff. So the 6.1 will get those features in, and we can put that in V7. So if we did V7 without those things, then we wouldn't have those things in V7. We'd just have better prompt understanding and more knowledge and stuff, which will be really important. But I think the image quality thing in particular looks really, really, really good at low res, and I think it's going to work really well in the upscaler too. And so I think that's a pretty dramatic difference pretty dramatic difference in a lot of images. So I think we just kind of have to chug through a lot of things. And I think 6.1 will be like a pretty intense workhorse. I would say it'd be a workhorse for a really long time, though when V7 comes, I think it'll blow it out of the water. But I think that, the 6.1 stuff is a stepping stone to V7, and V7 could take longer than expected still, so as things tend to take. Starting to get ready to collect more data for 3D models, and the data has been the main thing holding back 3D, and so that'll hopefully start letting up in the next few months. 3D, I feel like, is going to come before video at this point, but just because I think when we saw that like the Sora video quality actually kind of sucks from like people using it more in a sort of like a real environment, then that made us think that like we can't just make our model big. We have to like actually do a good work to make it, good and consistently good. So the V7 is sort of being built to do a lot of those video things in a better way. So I think after V7, we will be able to start making really good progress on video. But for 3D, we could have probably done a V5 3D model if we had the right data set. So that'll be out of the way soon. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So kind of a lot of things moving right now. And I'm trying to kick up even more things, unfortunately, for some reason. I don't know why. I think because a lot of the little projects are going slowly, and like if I put 100% of my time on like one of those projects, they'd probably go one of those 7 things would go twice as fast. But it doesn't really make sense to do that at some point. It makes sense for me to take my time and build up some of the new teams and get some of the new projects off the ground, which will lead to more stuff happening in the long run than pushing one. Basically, it sounds weird, but like my time kicking up 3 more projects that may function like at normal speed is better than making one of 6 projects go at double speed. So yeah, kicking up a lot of new stuff. Yeah, we're not going to see a lot of that for a bit, but I hope to. Yeah, so I think these things like the storytelling team, is going to go for a while before stuff comes out. But I think when all these sort of new teams come out with things, there'll be big impact. So I'm very optimistic. Yeah, what else? I'm starting to think that's most of it right now. So yeah, a lot of major things sort of going at a little bit slower than we'd like, but moving consistently and steadily. There's a lot of room still for things to be better. So that means things are going to be basically really good in the future. Yeah, and I think is that it? I'm always like, I think those are all like the things that we've already announced in the past. So there's all these like new projects I'm kicking up that are crazy weird things, but you know, uh, yeah. Um, Probably no announcing any of the crazy weird things yet. But there'll be a lot of yeah, there's going to be a lot of great stuff. Um, yeah, kind of planning out things over the next few years, really, almost at this point. Um, like I would say, like for the next 12 months, it's about video, 3D, real time, and then bringing them all together to do real time 3D video, open world simulation. That's sort of non-interactive, like you're a ghost, and then we start bringing the interaction layer into it. And then but it's going to be expensive, and we start to make it cheaper. And so that's kind of like, in a lot of ways, it's a lot of major pieces coming together into this simulation system, and there's sort of nothing else. I mean, the personalization is really maybe the only thing that's sort of really unknown outside of that, where it's like, what does it mean to sort of personalize the models to every person? That's going to be really interesting. Um, like, but because it's kind of a social effect, so it's easy to understand what it means for something to be 3D and what it means to be video, but what does it mean to like personalize the model's biases to millions of people, and what kind of weird feedback loops that makes? That's less certain because it's kind of a weird feedback loop. But we'll start to get a sense of that when we release that in the next month. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, one of the challenges right now is every time we come up with a different personalization for the guides and mods to test, like it gets better for some people and worse for other people. And then we just tried training it several times with nothing changed, and even that makes it pretty different. So it just looks like that the personalization is like numerically unstable in some area, and so we have to solve the numerical instability. Uh, so that way, once the numerical instability is solved, then it should just be good for everybody consistently. But when it's numerically unstable, it kind of randomly is good and bad for different people in different versions. Yeah. We are building a hardware team. There will be Midjourney hardware one day, but I don't think we can know exactly yet what that hardware will look like. I think as we sort of build 3D stuff, we're going to look at the 3D Midjourney in a lot of different things, you know, and we'll kind of start to get feelings there. Like, we might as well like probably do like a Midjourney thing for shits and all the VR headsets. just to get a sense for the 3D Midjourney in there. But I don't think that any of the VR headsets are correct for anything. A lot of the VR space is sort of this weird, incoherent productization. I don't know what to call it, clusterfuck. So from a lot of premature consolidation and like bringing, you know, yeah, throwing. Yeah, I don't want to get too, but I think that a lot of the stuff can be a lot better. So we'll probably have to make our own hardware, unfortunately, but our own headset eventually. But we're not working on it yet. We want to kind of like look at the 3D stuff and all the 3D systems that we can. Like we'll make a 3D Midjourney model. We'll look at it in all the VR headsets. We'll look at it in these volumetric displays. We'll look at it at these sort of parallax barrier glassesless displays. We'll like look at it at all these different types of things. Sort of meditate deeply about what's cool, what's kind of a fad, and what actually is going to be the best thing to make for everybody. But we will make some really cool stuff once we start to have an opinion. So I think kind of on the hardware side, we're just kind of we're exploring a lot of things this year, and then I think by the end of the year we'll have like a more clear sense of what we want to make there. But any kind of probably like 2 years before there's really cool Midjourney hardware, but that everyone can use. But you know, it's okay. It makes sense to sort of plan for the long run. Uh, yeah, I will do a little lightning round where people can type your questions in the VC text channel, and I'll just go through things. Um, D7 will have more knowledge. Personalization will kind of work like the stylize slider. So I think the current plan was just to use the stylized thing, but I'm not sure. I'm starting to get tired of having like a separate argument for the strength of every single parameter, so I may just like wipe that all out soon, change it all up. But uh, don't have a great way to do panning and zooming without losing resolution without having weird artifacts, so probably not doing it for now. We're not updating CREF and we're not updating the character and style references in version 6. I think we're gonna wait for version 7. Um, we use it for our cloud. We use a combination of Google Cloud, and then we have our own data centers. So maybe half and half. Um, when you rate pictures, rate the one that you like better. You could like it for whatever reasons you want. Um, I don't know if those Grok, I don't know if those Grok AI chips work for our stuff, but in general, right now, uh, I think we're going to try to make a faster Midjourney model without using special hardware before we try to use special hardware to make it fast. So I think in the next week, we're going to try training some really fast Midjourney models that might be able to work as like a cool rough draft mode. But we'll see kind of how it works. We want to be careful, making it fast. I mean, right now we have turbo mode already, and it is more expensive. So if we use like some rare chip to make it faster, it'd be even more expensive. And unfortunately, like I don't think enough people use turbo mode right now for me to want to necessarily make something that's even more expensive and even more fast. So right now, when I think about trying to make something faster, I'm thinking about like more of a rough draft mode. And I think that could be interesting. And so we'll think about that. Um, I don't know if sref random can be blended as easily. I guess you kind of could. Uh, yeah, I don't know. possible. I'm not sure if I want to keep adding complexity to things, but I'm not sure. Um, you will be able to share the personalization. I do not own yeah, usually like a company owns the rights to a company name, so I don't have personal ownership over the Leap Motion name. Um, I don't think I needed to call something the Midjourney Leap. I'm kind of done with the Leap. I think I'm kind of done with the Leap name, so I like North Star, so there's a universe where we could use the North Star name again, but I'm not sure if that's actually, yeah. That was the AR headset that we made. Uh, if you want to make a visual novel movie in the future, I don't know, just like think about what you want it to be like. Um, like map the story out, do storyboards, think about places, make references for the different scenes. Um, I don't know. Meta Horizon OS. I don't know if anybody actually knows what that means. I think like Mark Zuckerberg kind of vaguely announced stuff. If it had really good like position tracking, I'd probably use it. But if it, yeah, I don't really know. I don't. They didn't really. There wasn't a lot of detail, so it was kind of unfortunate. I did not order a rabbit one. Will there be an option to train Midjourney on your own artwork privately? Not right now. We've tried doing that with V6 and it doesn't work very well. Maybe it'll work better for V7, but then V7 like style reference will work much better too. So I don't really know if it makes sense to like fine tune the model on. We'll kind of figure that out. It's an interesting question, but we don't really know the answer. Just that it doesn't work well right now. I think we have to make um we're not working with Rabbit. I think they make a bot through the Midjourney thing. I'm not sure what they're doing. Um, I don't think we're really working with anybody officially right now as a third party. Um, I mean, we're working with Google as a cloud vendor. We definitely work with like a bunch of small we work with like Lance database. Like we definitely work with database and cloud companies, but not like for any product companies right now. Um, sref random doesn't use any images. It just sort of looks at the latent space of style in like an abstract way. We're thinking of trying to make like a style explorer that's sort of more like a map. I don't think style raw makes a difference with sref random. They're kind of unrelated. Um, I think that some people will build video games in the Midjourney open world simulator, but I'm not specifically thinking about video games. I'm thinking more about a sandbox that people can explore and make things in. But I think that when we have the open world simulator, having an API makes a lot more sense. People can make games in it. Um, we are hiring mods now. I don't know exactly how it works though. Um, I think they kind of hire from the existing pool, and the pool self-refers out. Maybe Ancient can speak there.
Um, yeah, it's something that we're working on, specifically content moderation. We are having as paid positions. Like Discord moderation is still a volunteer thing.
Yeah, we're building out a more full-time paid moderation team. It's a little early, but yeah, we could probably talk more about it in the future. Um, yeah, back in V4, I kept saying Midjourney be 10x better. Definitely think between V4 and V6, it's like 10x better in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's not better in every way, but I think that there's still a lot. The image quality and coherence quality and the text understanding and the aesthetics, I think, can be a pretty huge jump above the current system still. So I don't know how many 10x's that is, but it's definitely, there are several major jumps beyond things. Um, we're not making any more reference systems for V6, but we will do more for V7. We're not increasing the data set for V6. We will increase the data set for V7. There will probably be Niche rooms. Um, I do talk to Jim Keller. He's one of the advisors. I've known him for many years. We talk about all sorts of crazy Midjourney chip things, but I don't think it makes sense to make a chip specifically for Midjourney for a while. The only situations where it makes sense to make a Midjourney chip is if we get like 5x bigger, which is certainly possible, or if we make like an AR headset maybe, and we want to do some kind of cloud streaming, and we need like a neural decoder, some for like neural 4D light fields or something. But if we need to make a chip, we will make a chip. But right now is not the there isn't like a right now it's not, and it's not obvious to make a chip right now. It'd make more sense to like use the 10 torrent chips or something else. There was not any change for not safe for work stuff lately. Um, I don't know of anything that's changed about Iranian faces. You might just have to change your prompt. There will definitely be video one day. Oh man, I got really behind on the questions. Sorry, everyone. Midjourney, Leap Motion made a open source AR headset called North Star. That was me and John and Ahmad that had a hardware. So we have a lot of the same people here. We could build another AR headset if we wanted. Um, we have some control net stuff, but we haven't released any of it. Control net's kind of a pain for V6. I think we'll look at it more for V7. We have not worked with Rabbit. Control net is like a random paper that somebody made and that people use with Stable Diffusion, but we don't really use. So there's some screw people who basically just want us to do whatever open source or other people are doing, but I think we're not going to kind of do our features just based off what other people are doing, even if it's cool. You have to be careful about just like shoving an infinite number of features into the current system, or else we will never be able to actually like update the system anymore. Yeah, there can't be like there's already more features than people on the team, so 6.1 is sort of moving, but it's hard to say when it's going to work, but it's making progress. Niji has different data than V6. In the future, we'll just put both of the data sets into V7, so I'm not really sure. Uh, yeah, I mean, I still feel like V6 can do really good anime, but yeah, I think it really depends on your aesthetic taste. Um, yeah, maybe you'll be able to give Midjourney a set of images and prompts one day, but I think right now we're really focused on improvements. Uh, I think we're really focused on improvements that everybody's going to use before we start focusing on things that almost nobody will use. So we're focusing on like on the current system when we on the current feature sort of board where people can vote for features. People really want better hands and skin and faces and text and things like that. So, we're gonna sort of prioritize those things. So between V6 and V7, I think like 90% of the top things are all gonna get solved. So I think we're moving pretty good towards basically doing all of the leaderboard stuff. And the leaderboard is very helpful for us so thank you for that. Um, um, what seems to be the current mood or focus inside the AI community over San Francisco overall? Um, I mean, I think a lot of people right now are reevaluating like what the state of the world is since the Meta open source model launches and the new Microsoft language model launches. And so the Facebook released some really good open source language models, and then Microsoft released some weird ones that may or may not be good, but are interesting. Like most of what Microsoft does. It may or may not be good, but it is interesting. It could be Microsoft's slogan. Um, yeah, but the new Llama models are definitely interesting. And so I think that that's the biggest change in the last week is everyone's thinking about like what the world means with the Llama models. It definitely like changes the space a bit. So yeah, the Llama models are the brand name for the language models that like the Chat GPT. Facebook made something that's pretty similar to Chat GPT, and then they made it free and they open sourced it. And so everyone's like thinking about that in terms of what that means. Um, yeah, I mean, copyright is constantly changing. So if you take a series of Midjourney images and you arrange them into a comic book, that is copyrightable. But I think the Copyright Office doesn't like it right now if you just type the word cat in and then you say, I want to copyright these 5 million cats I made with the word cat. So I think they're just trying to not get like completely flooded underwater. But I'm sure that those things are going to change and become clearer over time. But personally, I'm not super I'm not like super into trying to let people like get people to copyright their AI stuff because I mean, I didn't even really make this stuff for commercial use. I think about it more as like a brainstorming tool, a way to like explore and think about what you want and communicate. So in that context, being able to copyright the images is not particularly important. And maybe it's better right now that there's some ambiguity there just because it kind of, maybe makes people think about using it as a brainstorming tool more than trying to use the images as like a final output, which, uh, was not really my intention. It was more of like using these things as sort of brainstorming and communication, and or just for fun. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the majority of the users and the majority of the revenue comes from people who are using it just for fun. Uh, there are a lot of people who are kind of aspirationally commercial, like I would like to make a coffee mug or I would like to make a t-shirt one day. And then there are people who are using it commercially for, the brainstorming type of thing it was intended to. Uh, and then a very small minority are actually using the images as the final thing. Uh, yeah. So, you know, That's just sort of how it is right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that the goal is to use a lot of this stuff for fun. Yeah, and brainstorming. Yeah, I think about it as it's not really about art, it's about imagination, and so we're kind of trying to amplify people's imagination. So just like how you use a car as a vehicle for motion, we want you to use this as a vehicle for imagination. So like you move through the use of a car and you can imagine through the use of Midjourney. All right, I think we're starting to peter off a bit. Why don't we take a few voice questions? My voice was a bit raspy today. Sorry, everyone. Sometimes I just do so many talking meetings in a row, I start to lose my voice. Ah.